is really about Islam at a political level, about a country where Islam is the source of law and public policy. You know, so when a particular understanding of Islam is chosen over many understandings of Islam on a particular issue and turn that understanding into law, and then you use the force of the modern nation state to enforce that law, and then you will punish those who do not obey that law. The debate that has to take place about what is right and wrong has to take place at a different level, and not at a theological level that God has decided, and therefore those who disobey God, that we should not disagree with what God has decided. The fact is, God did not decide to draft these understandings of Islam into the Islamic family law of Malaysia, or into the Sharia laws of Malaysia, or into the Hudud law of Kelantan and Terengganu. It is human beings, and as our friend said, it's men who sit in very powerful positions and decided that this is what is going to be the law of Islam when a man wants to divorce his wife, or when a woman wants to divorce. God did not sit to draft that. It is us human beings. This is why I don't know whether you were here when I spoke about that human engagement, that the source of the law is divine, but that human engagement with the divine text produced a very, human, fallible understanding. And there's so many things that impact. Why did we choose this understanding, this interpretation, this fiqh opinion over another? It's all using human judgment. It's our experience, it's our social context, it's our history, where we're coming from. So if I were the lawmaker, I would come up with a different Islamic family law, as opposed to the group of men who came up with that Islamic family law that discriminated against women. So let's look at where is the debate taking place, yeah? It is taking place at a different level, and not at a theological level. I really am, our friend from Islam, who was talking about the problem with Muslim men, I agree with everything that you said, except the fact that, don't wage war against men and not Islam. I'm sorry if you think that what we Muslim feminists are doing is to wage war against Islam, because it's certainly not that. The difference that Muslim feminists are making to the feminist world is the fact that we're reclaiming Islam. We're reclaiming an Islam of justice, an Islam of equality, an Islam of compassion, of kindness. And this is our vision and our understanding of Islam that we want to push forward into the world and in Malaysia. So we're not waging war against Islam, yeah? And we don't want to wage war against men, even men are the source of so many of our problems. We really want men to be partners in this endeavor to bring about a just and compassionate Islam, which I feel is the real Islam, yeah? So we want to work together to build the bridges. For us, a group like Islamic Renaissance Front is someone like Dr. Farouk, who has emerged and speaking and taking very brave public positions, is extremely important. And the whole world is changing. The Muslim Brotherhood in Tunisia, in Egypt, everyone is changing because we're responding to the realities on the ground. If we don't change, then you're going to make Islam irrelevant, really, and that is the danger. And Muslim feminists do not want to make Islam irrelevant to our lives. We want Islam, to be relevant to how we live our life today. The last question, what was it? I forgot. Was it? Said the last thing? Sorry. I'm so glad you're hopeful about the future, because I am also extremely hopeful about the future. Because I think change is real, and you cannot forever live in a cocoon, immune from the galloping change that's taking place, not just in the world, just in our family. If you look at who are the providers and protectors in the family, you see your sisters providing and protecting the family. You know, women's roles, women's realities have changed, and men too have to change necessarily. So for me, I'm so hopeful. The fact that there's so much change. Why is it, you know, the demand for the repeal of the ISA, the repeal of the emergency ordinance? Those demands have been on the books for 20, 30 years. I was in Suhakam, the first Suhakam commissioners. I mean, our first annual report on Suhakam was to list all these laws that need to be repealed, that need to be amended. Why is it the government could not do it, would not do it in 2001, even though now people are saying, oh, this is a no-brainer, you know? Why is it in 2001 the government did not feel compelled to repeal these laws? But in 2011, in September 2011, the Prime Minister feels compelled to repeal these laws. Something has changed on the ground and in the realities of Malaysia today that he knew that he could not go on. Yeah? With all this facing this onslaught of criticisms and attacks and the changing social forces and political forces on the ground, you know, he has a price, there's a price to be paid, you know, so he needs to appease that public opinion, yeah, you know, that is going to cost him votes at the next election. You know, so I am very, very hopeful that given the realities, the changing realities before us, you see past changing. You know, in the 1980s, past said women could not be leaders because a woman's voice is part of her aura. So some of you are too young to remember that. I was a journalist in the 1980s. Women should not be heard in public. A woman cannot be a political leader because her voice will be in the public space. And now, past position has changed. Why? Because of the realities on the ground have changed, and it is costly for past to continue with that position. So this is why, for me, this voice is so important. This public voice is so important. That without the public voice, without the public outrage demanding change, political leaders are not going to change. Islamist ideologues are not going to change. The fact that change is taking place is because the realities are changing and the voices are coming out, demanding that change, making it politically costly for our leaders to continue with the kata bawah tempurung attitude.
or not just contact with outside organizations, NGOs. No, not that. I'm saying this out of compassion of my own country, because many Muslim scholars have said that our country is an example in many respects, including our dean and his friends and professors from Turkey and Iraq and others whom I have met. Not perfect. So we must be careful when we talk about this change. And don't be drawn by euphoria or what we call the Arabic Spring. Toward that spring will, unfortunately, we don't know, may turn to a hurricane. And when it comes, that hurricane will fall not only on the good ones, the evil ones, but even on innocent children, people with no capacity to resist at all. So I hope tonight we cooperate the culture of intellectual and nasiha, the best kind that we are capable of out of intellectual compassion and not combativeness. Because that is the Quran is free. And with that, I say thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.